speaking of serious situations, though, Charlie Davies has filed a $12 million lawsuit against Das Enterprise. Was it 20?
20 million.
That's what I said.
You said 12.
Oh, 20 million.
The 8 million's for ICE. I don't know.
And Red Bull as well. Not just Das Enterprise, but Red Bull as well. What's up with that?
He has a case. I hate saying that. And God knows I wasn't there, if the driver was overserved, there's plenty of laws on the books that says the overserver has got some explaining to do.
Yep.
Now, on the other hand, we don't know if there was we don't know how sober the driver looked. We don't know whether it was just simply because we don't know if the driver was falling down drunk or anything, where it was clearly obvious. And I don't know what the legal standard is for telling whether someone's overserved. Looking back, yeah, they probably shouldn't have gotten behind the wheel. And once you have that, certainly the family of the woman who died, that they have a case.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think Charlie does. It sounds... It's coming across as crass, and whether he should have, how much his capacity was diminished, and whether he was overserved, and wasn't able to make the decision to not get behind that wheel. The reaction to that is it's been wholly negative. Crass, but the amount of earnings he may have missed, I can sort of get behind that because he was a lock to make the World Cup team. He was a lock to start. Mm-hmm. Without him, they made it to the second round. I think we could have beaten Ghana with him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Is that $20 million? Well, it's it's a lot more than if I were in the passenger seat, I wouldn't have gotten no $20 million.
Yeah.
It's and people have reacted to it really badly, and I sort of understand that. But he has a case. I don't know what the circumstances were, but I can understand bringing that to court. And it's not like he's making up this law either.
No.
So
no.
Well, whether or not you agree with it, whether or not you think that he has to take some responsibility, while the law you're referring to is, I believe it's called the dram shop law,
mm-hmm.
and that's at least the one that everybody's stating, because I'm no lawyer by any means.
No, that's it.
We all know what we're talking about when it comes to anything in soccer, let alone whether a controversial player files a lawsuit. We're all experts.
Let me call in a lawyer. Yeah.
Well, I do know at least here in Indy, and I'm sure this is the laws vary with every state. Here in Indy, if somebody gets pulled over and gets a DUI, gets arrested and everything like that, if they came from a bar, technically that bar is held liable, and it's more or less the bar gets fined or the server gets fined is the big thing. And again, there's probably more legal mumbo jumbo there than just stating it like that. But he has a case. Well, again, whether or not you agree with it is another thing. But
people are acting like he's doing some horrible abuse of the judicial system, where both in monetarily and that he's exploiting some law. And I can sort of see where you want to tell your kids, don't get behind the wheel when be more responsible. Don't break curfew. A lot of this is on Charlie.
Yeah.
But that law he didn't make that up. That's on the books.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the people are concerned, not concerned, but their venting is more along the lines of the taking responsibility. If he's pointing out that she was beyond intoxicated and they kept serving her alcohol, perhaps he should have noticed that she was beyond intoxicated and not getting the same car with her. I mean,
he was probably beyond intoxicated too.
If he's actually been.
Let me back away from probably, but I don't know. But that would be, because I was going over this in my mind. I was like, well, why would he get behind the? Well, because he was drunk. Yeah. I mean, he wasn't going to drive. And I read something. Well, why didn't he just call a cab? Well, because he was diminished capacity and he didn't make a good decision. I mean, the bad decision was to drink too much, which you want to take responsibility for that, fine, but the punishment does not fit the crime, since that particular crime is committed by nearly every professional athlete every single weekend.
Yeah.
If he was that drunk, I mean, is he really good character enough to base a legal argument saying that they kept serving her when she was clearly intoxicated? I've heard some people say that he had claimed that he hadn't been drinking that night. Then that's kind of up in the air for question.
Yeah, that kind of brings the other thing up, which he wasn't drinking that night, and then not long after that.
What are you doing well, and again, I'm getting in trouble now. Well, then why go to a bar and hang out till 3 a.m. if you're not drinking?
Well, yeah, he had to be drinking. And the other thing is he's made other...
that must be a heck of a jukebox.
Yeah, but he's made other...
I'm being irresponsible. I shouldn't be saying stuff like this.
But well, he's made other...
I don't know.
He's made other poor decisions since then. In France, of course.
Yeah, that's right. He's not clear on whether or not he's driving at all some of the time.
He doesn't even have a license, and he's driving. So that's kind of the problem there. Yeah. So, anyway, all right, let's get off Charlie Davies for a second. And let's talk about, and this is a little late on this, but it's still something to think about. Henry's red card against Espinoza. I mean, what's your take on that, Dan? Real or Memorex?
Well, that's one of those, I call them MacArthur Genius Grant plays. What did he think he was going to get? The key to the city? Did he think he was going to get on? Was he going to put that on his highlight reel? I mean, he went out of his way. He didn't stop running. Oh. He saw the guy there. And it's not like he ran into a real human being. It was Roger Espinoza. The guy has it coming. I mean, if you make that case that you have a right to run into Espinoza because he's a tool, then fine. But it was so obvious to me that it's a red card, of course.
I agree.
That brings us back. Is he a hero or the villain here? Similar to the Clark and Ruiz incident a couple years back.
That's a very good example. For the very same. The only difference is Henry is kind of a villain.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Villain.
This was kind of, Iran-Iraq war where you hope they both lose. I mean, there are no winners here except the fans.
I love the biased commentary during the game too. They rewatched the replay and they're like, I think that was a bit harsh. I don't think that he was. I don't think he was trying to intentionally do it. I'm like, yeah, he was intentionally doing it. Did you really see him lunge his knee into Espinosa's back? Yeah, I think it was quite intentional. Right in front of the ref. I mean, come on.
Yeah, no, it was unintentional. It's like I didn't mean that I would get caught. I mean, it was like Brian Mullen's injury to Zakuani earlier.
Yeah.
He didn't mean to maim the guy, but he definitely meant to hit him. I mean, that's...
Yeah, exactly.
It was an idiotic play.
Yeah.
Henry... It's the sort of thing you do when you think you're above the rules.
Yeah.
And
he's always been a little bit above the rules, right? That's been the problem.
Yeah, well...
Yeah, that's kind of his mindset, right?
Oh, boy. That's been the story of the Red Bulls. A lot of these guys think that they don't need to bring the full effort, and they snuck into the playoffs anyway.
Wow.
Screw you, Philly. That's all I can say.
Really?
They did not put up a fight, seriously.
They didn't bring the full... You think it was that they didn't bring the full effort? I don't know. I mean, I kind of agree with that. I also see a lot of dysfunction on that team, though, Dan. Just bad play. Just pure bad in play.
Philadelphia or New York?
New York. I mean, maybe they didn't bring the effort ever. I mean, whenever you're talking about Marquez, you have to ask yourself if he's bringing the full effort. But everybody else, I thought, Lynn Pierre, I thought a lot of the guys were bringing effort. I just think that it just didn't work out. I mean, you talk about all the Scandinavian guys on that team. Those guys are known for working hard, right? So,
it was.
So who's not giving the effort? Was it Henry?
It was Henry and Marquez, and they were taking. Henry is being named as an MVP candidate because of his goal scoring, and it's just sort of that's as far as leading the league in goals of being a misleading stat. That's a misleading stat.
Yeah,
I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but you get a load of the Red Bulls this year,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and a lot of it was they thought they were much better than they actually were. You look at some of the reaction from, not so much, I think fans they're like beaten puppies at this point. But you were reading people say, this is the most disgraceful collapse in history. It's like, that's pretty much standard Red Bulls. I mean, they've done this.
Yeah, the background. That was great.
I mean, they'll do it. They'll do it again. I mean, they'll buy a bunch of guys, and they'll think, "Oh, this year we've turned around because we've spent another $4 or $5 million on, or we spent a DP slot on a goalkeeper that no one ever heard of."
Yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen.
And their take on the downfall was that they were riddled with national team call-ups from the Gold Cup and such. But then again, I mean, a lot of teams.
Well, Richardson's valuable.
They suffered 5 call-ups. Well, Marquez, Ream, Agudelo, Richards. I can't think of the 5th one. Miller. There's one right there.
Yeah.
And they said because of those call-ups, where it all went downhill.
Yeah, let me tell you a story of a team called the Los Angeles Galaxy who had.
Yeah.
They had to do without Landon. They had to do without. I think Omar was called up for one of those tournaments. Not as much as he should have been.
Mm-hmm.
They've been doing without Robbie Keane. Dallas is a bad example because they had a bunch of call-ups and they died and went to hell. But that was more something. I sort of saw this on Matt Doyle had on the Wednesday Water Cool chat. He's talking about George John, he hasn't shown up since August, and I think that's what's ruined Dallas more than the call-ups. It's not like these guys get injured, and it's not like you're paid. Everybody has call-ups. I mean, of all the weak, mindless complaints, especially since usually Rafa Marca's teams are better without him.
That's true. Sometimes it is true. Of course, he might debate that after the last game they played, but